Hey everyone, welcome to this week's vlog post. I want to share with you the competition from this past weekend where we did the obstacle challenge at the Larry and Kathy Bonehills farm in Uxbridge. So this is a look at Trivia Time, my thoroughbred mare that I'm retraining for the thoroughbred makeover. And this is her second competition ever. And an obstacle challenge is basically where each obstacle is worth a certain amount of points. And for this particular one, you're given 6 minutes to do as many obstacles as you possibly can, trying to get as many points as you can. So some obstacle challenges have different time frames. This one was 6 minutes, which is actually a fair bit of time. And you can see Trivia Time, or Mystique as I call her, it's actually a little bit revved up there, but she's pretty excited about doing the obstacles and she's very willing. There she did an adorable little splash in the water. Here's a tight squeeze where you got to go through the cones without knocking the balls off the top. And I'm just going to show you different glimpses of the different obstacles that we did. So here was a little spin around and some jumps. You can see the nice springs that Mystique has on her there. So there was a few jumps, different things. Here's a back through where you had to go up, get your horse to touch the sign and then back up. And she's excited and she's moving around. This is the first time we've done an obstacle challenge with speed. Her first competition was mountain trail, which was very slow and accurate based. So this is speed focused, where you want to get the obstacles done accurately, but you want to be as quickly as possible. So, and as we're going along, you can kind of see that she's sort of settling down a little bit more and she's really focused on the task. So she's putting her feet where I want her to put her feet and really trying really hard. And I actually think she was really enjoying what she was doing here because she's a very busy horse, a very creative horse. So she's kind of like, oh, okay, where are we going? Where's the next one? And you can just see that sort of expression from her. She's like, oh, okay, rock, feet. Okay, next one. Here we go. And she's just very attentive to what I'm doing. So I'm really thrilled with how she's performing and how focused she is on what we're doing. And even though this is an obstacle challenge where you do as many obstacles as you can, there is technically no pattern that you follow. I'm actually doing a very carefully planned out route so that way I can maximize my time and my route so that way I can get the most points possible. So where I'm going, you can see like I'm very direct. I'm headed from one place to another. I know where I'm going throughout the whole course, and that's because I've thought this through before I even head out. What I love about being at Larry and Kathy's farm is there's a lot of variety in the obstacles. So you've seen a lot of different things. They've got the sand ring with a lot of obstacles in there, and then this is out in the grass obstacle park where there's some water obstacles, some bridges, and a whole bunch of different things. So this is Pentland, and Pentland has a scratch on his back right now. We're not really sure how he got it. We think maybe he just rubbed against a fence post the wrong way. So I wasn't actually able to ride him for the competition, but they were kind enough to let me lead him through the obstacles instead. And so that was a little bit different. And what I love about Pentland is he's got his adorable, sweet personality. He's just an absolute sweetie, and he's doing really amazing because when he first started doing obstacles, he would sort of fall off bridges and very sort of klutzy. And we've been working a lot on balance and being more coordinated, and he's doing really well. Here's a little look at his sideways over the pole, which he was a little bit stiff over, but doing pretty nicely. And he was doing a really great job of doing the obstacles and sort of following my lead and going with me a little bit. It was a lot of exercise for me. He gave me a little bit of a glimpse of what it's like to be the horse running around and doing it with them. So it was definitely a little bit of a different feel and nice that they let me do that with him. Basically, I just wanted to still get him in the ring, have the experience of doing the obstacles and have the experience of going in sort of by yourself with all of the other horses on the outside of the ring, because that can actually be a fair bit of a challenge for horses. So if you're prepping them for a show, you can do clinics, which are great opportunities, but the experience of going into a ring on your own and having all the other horses not go in with you can sometimes create a bit of a stressor. But here you can see Pentland's really focused on the different tasks that I'm giving him. He's looking from one things to the next and trying really hard and not being herd bound at all. He's not calling to anybody. He's not, trying to look away. He's very focused on what we're doing. It's like, okay, we're going here, now we're going there. Where are you going, Mom? And then here's a little look at, we made it out into the bigger obstacle area in the grass area. So we're doing some things here and heading down into the water obstacle, which I was really, really impressed with him that he was so pretty easy to get him through there. He just, looked and went without me there, and it didn't take a lot of practice. And before the obstacle show, they actually give you an hour and a half to do the obstacles and play with them. So I had 3 horses that I had in that hour and a half to get them used to some of the different obstacles. And what I did is I did a couple easy wins for them, and then I just went to some of the bigger obstacles of the water. So he had seen that water once before going in. And then this is the third horse that I was using, which is Ozzy, who's my new 6-year-old quarter horse gelding. This is his second show as well. So all 3 of these horses went with me to the mountain trail show, which was 2 weeks before. And then now this is their second show with me, which is the obstacle challenge for more speed. And so here I'm getting him focused on the different obstacles, and you can see I'm doing a very similar route to what I did with Trivia Time, because I've planned out that route ahead of time. And to maximize my points, I try to do a circuit. So I sort of map out a route of a few obstacles, and I repeat those obstacles, and then I move on to the next area. So I try not to be going from one end of the arena to the other. And if I'm going from big point obstacles to small point obstacles, I try to do the small ones along the way. So I try not to just sort of go from one end of the arena to the other. That splash box there, it actually took me about probably 30 minutes to get him across that in the morning. And I had to spend a lot of patience with him there. And here you can see he walked through it better that time. So that was nice. And this was his first time doing a drag obstacle. I actually hadn't had an opportunity to practice that earlier because he took so long to go through the splash box in the morning. He actually hadn't gone through any of he hadn't done the drag, he hadn't done a lot of the other obstacles because that splash box just took so long, and I had 3 horses to do in the hour and a half. So that's the only downside to having the 3 horses, is that if they need a little bit more time, you haven't had an opportunity to practice all these other things. So we hadn't done this turnaround, and whereas some of the other horses, they had an opportunity to do more of these things. Like Mystique was really quick to go through these obstacles during practice. So for her, she had an opportunity to do them all once beforehand, whereas Oz now was doing these things for the first time. He hadn't done the chicken, hadn't done the sideways. But at the end of the day, at most shows, you don't necessarily get to practice the obstacles beforehand. So that's okay. It's just a learning, just an opportunity. We were just at a slight disadvantage for that, but that was okay. And so here he is doing the jumps, and jumping is something that Oz definitely did not have experience with. I bought him as a reining pony, or a former reining pony with some reining training. And he's got some nice buttons on him. So I'm hoping to do training him for extreme cowboy racing. So we're just putting together some things and getting him confident over the obstacles and building a bit of a partnership together. So here's an obstacle that he didn't have an opportunity to practice. So I was actually really thrilled that he just hopped right up on that rock, because it's quite a small target zone for the horses, and he was really willing and just figured out exactly what I wanted him to do, which was great. So during these obstacle shows, I've got a plan. I'm very targeted on where I'm going, and you can really tell that, like, I get off that tire and I know exactly where I'm headed. So even though there's no course, I really have an idea of where I'm headed, and that takes a lot of that hesitation, so you have the ability to rack up as much points as you can. So in this show, Ozzy ended up with 137 points, I believe, and Mystique ended up with 157. So these guys actually took first and second. And my dear Pentland, I think he got around 80 points or something like that, which I was still really proud of him. We were slow because I wasn't riding him, but he got the experience of going in the ring, and he was trying really hard and being really sweet. So I was really thrilled with the performance of my horses. And you can see here I'm doing an obstacle where they're worth 1 point each, and this is getting right to the end. So I've kind of done the same pattern that I did with Mystique, very similar anyways. And they called, only, a minute to go, and I'm racing off, and I'm like trying to get down to the other obstacles. Don't quite make it, but it was a super fun run. And thanks for watching, guys. I hope you have a chance to do one of these too.